I heard my daughter-in-law's voice through the kitchen door before I even stepped inside. "We don't need this money," she snapped. "Tell him to stop bringing it. We're not taking anything from him." I froze in the hallway, an envelope in my hand. A check inside it worth more in a month than my son had ever made in a year. He had no idea where it came from. He thought I was barely scraping by, and I never corrected him. But the way she said it, like I was something they could just refuse, like I didn't matter. That was the moment I understood. They weren't just wrong about me. They had already made up their minds about who I was. I stood there longer than I should have, listening like a stranger in my own family. My son Daniel didn't stop her. Not a word, not even a quiet, "That's enough." Just silence, the kind that says more than shouting ever could. I backed away before the floorboards could betray me and crept out the front door. My hand was still wrapped around that envelope so tight my fingers ached. $60,000, every month, sent quietly. No name attached, no questions asked, just taken. I sat in my car and stared at their house. Big place out in Plano, Texas. 2-car garage, trimmed hedges, one of those flagpoles out front like they were something important. I paid for most of it. They didn't know that, and still, "We don't need this." I almost laughed. Not because it was funny, but because it finally made sense. All those years Daniel kept me at arm's length. The short calls, the missed holidays, the polite distance like I was some obligation he checked off once in a while. He thought I was small, broke, harmless. I let him think that. I drove away without going back inside. The check stayed in my pocket. For the first time in years, I didn't leave it on their counter like some quiet apology. That night I sat alone in my little apartment. Same place they all believed was the limit of my life. Worn couch, old coffee maker, a place that looked like a man who had nothing left. I poured myself a drink and stared at the wall. It wasn't the money that hurt. It was the way she said it, like I was beneath them, like whatever I gave came with shame attached. And Daniel, he let her. That's when something settled in me. Not anger, something colder, clearer, because they didn't just misunderstand me, they underestimated me. And the next morning, I decided I was done being the quiet part of their life. I didn't call him that morning. I didn't text. I didn't explain. For once in my life, I let the silence sit where it belonged. Instead, I drove downtown. Dallas looks different when you've got time to notice it. Tall glass buildings, clean sidewalks, people moving like they've got somewhere important to be. I used to walk those same streets years ago, back when my name meant something. I parked in a private garage and took the elevator up. Top floors, quiet, polished. The kind of place Daniel would never imagine me stepping into. The receptionist looked up and smiled politely. "Good morning, Mr. Whitaker." I nodded, same as always. "Your 10 a.m. is waiting in the conference room." Of course he was. I walked in, and there he sat. A man half my age in a sharp suit, nervous energy all over him. He stood up quick when he saw me. "Sir, I reviewed the numbers you sent over. If we move forward, this could—" I held up my hand. "We're not here to grow anything today." He stopped talking. I took a seat at the head of the table, slow and steady. My bones don't rush for anyone anymore. "I want everything paused," I said. He blinked. "Paused? All outgoing personal distributions, every one of them." He hesitated, just for a second too long. "Sir, some of those accounts are ongoing commitments, mortgage structures, education funds, vehicle leases. I know exactly what they are." My voice didn't rise. It didn't need to. The room went quiet. "Pause them," he swallowed. "Immediately?" I leaned back in the chair and looked straight at him. Today, that was the moment he understood this wasn't business. It was personal. "Yes, sir." He sat down and started typing, fast now. No more questions. I watched him work, and for the first time in a long while, I didn't feel like I was helping someone. I felt like I was taking something back. After a minute, he cleared his throat. "There will be consequences." I gave a small nod. "There already are." When I left that building, the sun felt sharper, like the world had edges again. By noon, my phone started buzzing. Daniel. I let it ring. Then again, and again. By the fourth call, a voicemail came through. I didn't need to listen to it to know the tone. Confusion first, then frustration. By the sixth call, anger. I finally sat down on a bench outside a coffee shop and played the last one. "Dad, what the hell is going on?" "The mortgage didn't go through. Amanda's saying the school called." "Did something happen with your account? Call me back, now." "No. Are you okay?" "No. Did something happen to you? Just money." I stared at the screen for a long moment, then slipped the phone back into my pocket. A young couple walked past me, laughing about something small. Real laughter. The kind that doesn't depend on anything. I barely remembered what that sounded like in my own house. The phone buzzed again. This time, a message. "Amanda. You can't just stop things without telling us. This affects our children." I let out a slow breath. That was the first time she ever spoke to me directly. And it was still about what I provided, not who I was. I stood up, brushed off my coat, and started walking again. Because now, they were paying attention, and I hadn't even begun yet. By late afternoon, I was back in my apartment, sitting in the same worn chair. But it didn't feel the same anymore. Something had shifted. The phone wouldn't stop, calls stacked on top of each other. Daniel, over and over. Then Amanda again. Even a number I didn't recognize. Probably the bank, maybe the school. People start caring real quick when the money stops flowing. I finally answered on the 9th call. I didn't say hello. "Dad, what did you do?" Daniel's voice came through sharp, tight, already on edge. "I stopped," I said. "Stopped what?" I let the silence stretch just long enough to make him feel it. "Everything." He exhaled hard, like he was trying not to explode. "You don't just do that. We have bills, real ones. The mortgage bounced, Amanda's freaking out, the kids' tuition. I know exactly what you have." "Then why would you?" "Because I heard her." That stopped him cold. A pause, longer this time. "What are you talking about?" "Kitchen," I said. "Yesterday. We don't need this money. Remember that?" Silence. Not confusion. Recognition. He knew. "You were listening?" he asked, quieter now. "I was standing in your house, Daniel." "That wasn't..." "She didn't mean..." "I don't care what she meant." My voice stayed calm. That's what unsettled him. I used to explain myself, soften things. Not anymore. "You let her talk about me like that," I continued, "and you didn't say a word." "That's not fair," he snapped. "You're blowing this out of proportion. She was stressed." "No," I said. "You've been like this for years." That landed harder than anything else. I could hear him shifting, pacing maybe. He always did that when he felt cornered. "You show up once in a while with money, Dad. You don't really... You're not part of things like you think you are." There it was. I closed my eyes for a moment. Not from pain, but from clarity. "I paid for your house." Silence. Thick. Heavy. "What?" he said slowly. "I paid your mortgage, every month, for years." "That's not possible." "I paid for the car too, and the school. And more things than you ever bothered to ask about." His breathing changed. I could hear it. Confusion turning into something else. "You're lying." "I'm not." "You live in a one-bedroom apartment." "Yes," I said. "I do." "Then where the hell is all this money coming from?" I leaned forward slightly, resting my elbows on my knees. "That's the first real question you've asked me in a long time." He didn't answer. For the first time since he was a boy, Daniel didn't have control of the conversation. "Call the bank," I said quietly. "Ask them where the payments were coming from." "You're serious?" he muttered. I've always been serious. There was a long pause. I could almost see him standing there in that big house, the one he thought he earned. You should have told me, he said finally. I let out a slow breath. You should have asked. That one cut deep. I knew it did. His voice hardened again, defensive now. So what? This is punishment? You're just going to pull everything because of one comment? No, I said. I pulled everything because of years of silence. Another pause. Then, lower, colder. Amanda says you're trying to control us. I almost smiled at that. No, I said. I stopped letting you control me. The line went quiet. No yelling this time, no quick comeback. Just the weight of something he didn't understand yet, and before he could find the words, I ended the call, because the truth was finally out there, and I still hadn't told him the part that would break everything. That evening, I didn't turn the lights on. I sat there in the dim glow coming through the window, listening to the city hum like it always does. Cars passing, people living their lives, unaware of the quiet war happening in a small apartment on the 3rd floor. My phone stayed still for about an hour. Then it rang again. This time, I knew it was her. I answered. You humiliated us. Amanda didn't bother with hello. Her voice was tight, controlled, the kind of anger that thinks it's justified. I told the truth, I said. You blindsided Daniel. You made him look like an idiot. I leaned back in my chair. He managed that just fine on his own. She didn't like that. You've been lying to us for years, she snapped, pretending to be some struggling old man while secretly controlling everything. Helping, I corrected. No, she said sharply. Controlling. That word again. I let it hang there. You said you didn't need it, I reminded her. That's not the point. It sounded like the point. Her voice rose now, the mask slipping. The point is, you don't get to play games with our lives. We have responsibilities, children. You can't just turn everything off like a switch. I already did. Silence, then quieter, colder. Do you have any idea what you've done? Yes, I said. I've given you exactly what you said you wanted. That's twisted. No, I replied. What's twisted is taking money from someone you don't respect. That hit her. I could hear it in the way she stopped breathing for a second. You think we don't respect you? She said. I heard you. That was one moment. No, I said again, steady. That was the honest moment. Another silence, this one heavier. Then she changed tactics. You're going to fix this, she said. Not asked, said. I almost admired it. That confidence. That belief that I'd fold like I always had. I'm not. You will, she pushed. Because if you don't, you're not just hurting us. You're hurting your grandchildren. There it was, the weapon they always kept in their pocket. I closed my eyes for a second. Not because it worked, but because I expected it. You think I don't care about them? I asked quietly. I think you're proving you don't. That one was meant to wound, and maybe, years ago, it would have. But not now. I've taken care of them longer than you realize, I said. She hesitated, just a flicker. What does that mean? It means they'll be fine. Now she was confused. What are you talking about? I stood up slowly and walked to the window, looking out over the streetlights. It means, I said, you might want to start asking better questions. Her voice sharpened again. Stop speaking in riddles. If you've done something behind our backs, I have, I said. That stopped her cold. A long pause, then almost a whisper. What did you do? I didn't answer right away, because this was the edge of it. The part I'd kept buried for years. The part that would change how they saw everything. You'll find out soon enough, I said. No, she snapped, panic creeping in now. You tell me now. I let out a slow breath. Check the accounts, I said. All of them. What accounts? All of them. She didn't respond. I could hear her already moving, already thinking, already realizing there was more going on than she ever imagined. "Whatever you think you've done," she said quickly, trying to regain control. "You don't get to hold things over us like this." I smiled. "Just a little. I'm not holding anything over you." "Then what are you doing?" I looked out into the dark, my reflection faint in the glass. "I'm letting go." And before she could say another word, I hung up, because at that very moment, somewhere across town, the truth had already started catching up to them. I didn't sleep that night, not because I was worried, but because I knew what morning was going to bring. By 8 a.m., my phone was already vibrating across the table. "Daniel, again. This time." I answered on the first ring. "Dad, what did you do?" No anger now, no attitude, just panic. I took a slow sip of my coffee before answering. "You checked. All the accounts are locked. The mortgage account, gone. The tuition fund, gone. Even the savings Amanda set up for the kids. What is this?" "I told you," I said. "I stopped everything." "That's not everything," he snapped. "There are accounts I didn't even know existed. Trust accounts, investment funds. My name was on some of them, then suddenly it wasn't. What is going on?" I leaned back in my chair. "This is the part you never asked about, Daniel." His breathing was uneven now. "You need to explain this. Right now." I let the silence sit for a moment. Not to punish him, but to make sure he heard what came next. 6 years ago," I said slowly, "I set up a series of accounts. Quiet ones. Structured so you wouldn't have to worry about anything." "What accounts?" "Everything," I said. "Your house, your car, your insurance, the kids' school, even your credit cards when you overextended." Silence. Then, barely a voice. "You're saying none of that was me?" I didn't soften it. "No, it wasn't." I could hear something break in him right then. Not loud, not dramatic. Just a quiet crack in the way he understood his own life. "That's not possible," he said. "I worked for that house." "You qualified for it," I corrected. "I paid for it." "That's insane." "You never questioned how it always worked out," I continued. "Every time you were short, every time something big came up, it just handled itself." He didn't answer, because he knew. "You thought you were building something," I said. "But you were standing on something I built for you." His voice came back sharp, but weaker now. "Why would you do that without telling me?" I closed my eyes for a moment. "Because I thought it would make your life easier," I said. "And maybe you'd still want me around." That one sat heavy. "You think I only wanted you for money?" he asked. I didn't answer right away. "You stopped calling unless something was wrong," I said. "You stopped visiting unless it was convenient. And every time I showed up, it felt like I was interrupting your real life." "That's not—" "And yesterday," I cut in gently, "proved it." Silence again. Then, quieter, almost defensive. "Amanda didn't know." "No," I said. "She didn't. And now everything's just gone." "Yes." "You removed me from those accounts?" "I removed you from everything that had my name attached to it." His voice dropped. "What about the kids?" That was the question I'd been waiting for. "They're taken care of," I said. "How?" he demanded. "You just said you shut everything down." I stood up slowly and walked over to the window. "I moved everything into a protected trust," I said. "One that you can't touch." "What?" "It's in their names now, only theirs." He went completely silent. "No access," I continued. "No access." "You never even knew it was there, Daniel." That hit harder than anything else. "You had everything," I said. "And you didn't even know enough to ask where it came from." His voice turned bitter. "So what? This is your way of teaching me a lesson?" "No," I said quietly. "This is me accepting one." Silence. Long, heavy, final. Then, almost under his breath, "What am I supposed to do now?" I looked out at the street below. People moving, living, carrying on like nothing had changed. That, I said, is the first honest problem you've had in a long time. He didn't respond, and for the first time in his life, he had no one left to carry it for him. The next 3 days were quiet, too quiet. No calls, no messages, no sudden bursts of anger or panic. Just silence. That's how I knew it had settled in. Reality doesn't always come loud. Sometimes it comes slow, like a weight pressing down until you finally stop trying to push back. On the 4th day, there was a knock at my door. Not aggressive, not hesitant either, just steady. I already knew it was him. I took my time getting up. My knees don't rush anymore, and neither do I. When I opened the door, Daniel was standing there, not in a suit this time. No polished shoes, no confidence wrapped around him like armor. Just a man who looked smaller. "Dad," he said. I stepped aside and let him in. He walked into the apartment slowly, looking around like he'd never really seen it before. The worn furniture, the old photographs, the quiet. "You really live like this?" he asked. "I really do." He nodded, not judging this time, just noticing. We sat across from each other. No coffee, no small talk, just the truth sitting between us. "I talked to the bank," he said finally. "I figured you would." "They explained some of it." I didn't respond. His hands were clasped together, tight. "I didn't know," he said, "about any of it." "I know. That house." He paused. "I thought that was mine." "It was your life," I said. "Just not your foundation." He swallowed hard. "I've been calling people," he went on, "trying to fix things. The mortgage company, the school, even tried to refinance." He let out a dry, humorless breath. "Turns out, I don't actually have what I thought I had. No anger in it now, just truth." "That's a hard thing to find out," I said. He nodded slowly. "I was proud of it," he admitted. "That house, providing for my family. I thought I was doing it right." I looked at him carefully. "You were living comfortably," I said. "That's not the same thing." That one didn't sting. It settled. He leaned forward, elbows on his knees. "Why didn't you ever tell me?" I could have given him a dozen answers, but only one mattered. "Because every time I showed up," I said, "it felt like I had to earn a place in your life." He looked up at me then. Really looked. "I didn't think you wanted to be part of it," he said. I gave a small, tired smile. I was already there. That broke something in his face. "Not dramatic, just quiet." "I messed this up," he said. I didn't rush to comfort him. "Yes," I said. He nodded, accepted it. For a long time, neither of us spoke. Then he asked, "Is there any way to fix it?" I leaned back slowly, studying him. Not as my son for a moment, but as a man standing in the middle of consequences. "There's no going back," I said. He lowered his head. "I'm not asking for the money," he said quickly. "I know that's gone. I just—" He struggled for the words. "I don't want this to be how it ends." I watched him carefully, because this was the first real thing he'd said. Not about money, not about problems, about us. But even then, something still sat unfinished between us. Something deeper than money, deeper than pride. I stood up and walked to the small cabinet by the wall, opened it, took out a thin folder, old, worn at the edges. I held it in my hands for a moment, then turned back to him. "There's one more thing you don't know," I said. He looked up, confusion flickering again. "What is it?" I stepped closer, close enough to hand it to him. Then I stopped, because even now, I wasn't sure he was ready to hear it, and neither was I. If this story meant something to you, subscribe. There's more to come.